Howdy folks, I'm a whiny least weasel, warily weaving wild wicker baskets.
I'm Amber.
And here are more wicker baskets for us to wildly weave to and fro through the streets. Maybe not that type of weaving. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Disappointed by My Boyfriend's Valentine's Proposal? My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. Last year, we treated Valentine's Day pretty laxly. For example, we didn't really make a reservation anywhere, no gifts, etc. This year, we needed to celebrate early since neither of us will be available on Valentine's Day. We decided to do a dinner together. I put in a nice little effort finding a nice place, and I made the reservation myself. Totally not a big deal, but I did ask him that since I made the reservations before Valentine's Day, I would like for him to actually ask me to be his Valentine. It was about a 3 weeks heads up. Every 3 or 4 days of him not asking me, I would bring it up and let him know that I was still expecting it, saying things like, it's getting closer, you probably should ask me by now, and stuff like that. Well, today we were supposed to have a dinner out. Last night I asked him if he had forgotten / why he never asked me out. He got frustrated and said that I don't trust him. I pushed back saying that it's too late. 10 p.m. on the day before, it's basically too late to ask me. I told him, and he has said this previously, that you have to ask someone to be your Valentine before the actual date, and that doing it during / after is not how you do it. He said, well, I guess I have to tell you what I have planned since you obviously don't trust me. And then spoiled that he had handmade a gift for me and was going to set it on the table whenever I got up for the bathroom. I told him that the handmade gifts were a very sweet idea, but not what I asked for. Plus, we had agreed to no gifts. I'm really upset because I know that I was clear with my expectations. I had told him before that he is supposed to ask me before the day. And, of course, this makes me feel like he is willfully ignoring my only request. He was extremely upset with me and keeps saying things like, why couldn't this just have been enough? I went above and beyond, but because it's not exactly the way you want it, then it's wrong. I can't lie, I'm not backing down on this one. I feel very upset that I'm having to pull teeth over this. For the record, when we talked last night, he did apologize briefly, but then said things like, well, I just don't understand what you wanted, or, well, I thought that this way was better, and it feels dismissive. We got into a big fight about this morning, the day of our Valentine's Day, and I ended up hanging up on him since I was on my way back to work and crying. He kept saying, why is this so important to you? Our fight turned to a big one because he felt like I needed to apologize, and I disagree with that. I don't think that I have anything to apologize for is that toxic. I just don't know how to make him understand. Can I? Do I give up on this and just eat it? Edit, I absolutely appreciate all the replies. I'm thinking about it from a different perspective now. I do think, however, that I didn't do a good job of explaining exactly what I'm upset about. At the end of the day, I went to my boyfriend and said, will you do X? It would make me feel loved and make me feel happy. And then it just didn't happen. I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, and to be fair, my boyfriend absolutely could have said no. Edit 2, I have to accept the results. Thank you everyone for the quick responses. Overwhelmingly, the consensus is that I am the jerk. I accept that. Definitely not asking for this again next year. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this was a bit much for OP to ask for because asking someone to be your Valentine should be a choice thing. Like, I understand they're in a relationship. It's already kind of implied. But if you need that spelled out for you, like, it's kind of like telling someone to tell you that you love them or something like that. Like, those kind of things should generally be done in and of themselves. And like, it's one thing to ask, hey, it would be nice for you to tell me that to ask me to be your Valentine, but I feel like putting the pressure on, being like, hey, there's only 3 days now, have you when are you gonna ask me? Like, I feel like that was a bit much. And I feel like when he explained the surprise he had planned, that should have been the point where OP backed down and was like, oh, okay.
You know, I'm gonna have to say that both of them are at a little bit of a fault here. And the reason why is because he agreed to ask her out, to ask her to be the Valentine's, right? So that to me feels like he, listened. They had this conversation, he listened, but then he just didn't take the steps that they both had kind of agreed upon. Now, whether or not, asking someone to be your Valentine or not is, appropriate or not, he did make an agreement to that part of this. And I completely agree with you, though, that her, constantly nagging him, every few days, being like, "Are you asking me yet? Are you asking me yet?" It kind of is a little off-putting, and it feels a bit manipulative
It
too.
takes the agency out of it and
Yeah.
makes it feel like a chore.
So this should have been something that he should have been able to do willingly, and I guess it makes it seem like maybe he was asking her the day before or the day before they were doing their Valentine's Day thing. This one is a couple of days old. This was posted on the 11th, so
Yeah, it sounds like they were doing an early Valentine's celebration. He was going to ask her over dinner during the celebration.
yeah.
And so they did have some kind of disagreement about timelines there, it seems like. And maybe he should have been more specific on the timeline. But I feel like OP should have, like, I think she was just way too pushy about
Oh
this
yeah,
over
yeah.
something that should be something done voluntary. Like,
Oh, I agree completely. And that's why I say that they're both kind of in the wrong a little bit. I'm not saying like of all the major things that could possibly be wrong in the world of stories that we've heard, these are relatively minor disagreements and relatively minor things, right? Like I don't think that she's a terribly horrible person, and I don't think he is either. I think that they had a miscommunication. She sounds like she had like a plan about how everything was supposed to go, and when he didn't meet that plan, she started getting anxious about that, and worrying about whether he was going to do this or not, maybe even building it up a little much in her head, and then kind of took it a little too far. So I can't say that either of them are completely innocent in this, though.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend toward, like, again, I guess it depends on how clearly she communicated that it had to be done before the date itself.
Well, she says that they both agreed to that.
Well, she says it makes it sound like he said in the past, like she's like he said before that that's the case, and so. And honestly, I'm wondering why people in their 20s are even concerned about asking in a relationship or concerned about who's asking who to be a Valentine.
Will you be my Valentine? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just it may be a sweet gesture. Maybe she kind of views it that way, like a little bit of a above and beyond thing.
Yeah, and like again, but that's why I feel like it should be a thing that's voluntary and not self-imposed. And so, like, I mean, he may have erred a little bit, but I feel like she's much more in the wrong for trying to impose, like, you must ask me to be my Valentine. Like, it takes all the romantic gesture, because it seems like he was trying to plan something cute and
Yeah,
romantic,
yeah.
and then she got upset too because he made a handmade gift, and she's like, but we said no gifts.
Well, I wouldn't really call a handmade gift anything that like if since there's not really a huge monetary investment
Yeah.
in it, as long as it isn't something like he carved a like a wooden dresser for her or something like that. I don't know.
I was immediately thinking of the clarinet that SpongeBob made out of driftwood for Squidward on Christmas.
Yes, carved her a clarinet. And but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. No chill, only drama.
I mean, I don't think the wheel is wrong here.
Wheel, you did it. You did it. Good job. And Squirrels Are Evil 2479 says, "You're the jerk. Is this some stupid TikTok challenge? What's more important, spending time with him or him asking some performative question where the outcome is already known? How did you come up with this silly scenario?" And OP replies, "It's not." Smiley face. "Also, I never realized that this wasn't a common thing. I see it only happen with people my age, mid-20s, a lot. Obviously, my answer is known. It's just something that I told him that would make me feel nice. Of course, the most important thing is that we have a good time together. To me, it was just that this was a very simple, seriously, just had to ask one question. Gimmicks didn't need to be involved. I know that it's silly, but it would make me happy. It is just odd to me that it was difficult, especially after he said that he would." And Crafty Cat 1135 says, "He made you a handmade gift. That's a lot more personal and thoughtful and you complained that it wasn't what you wanted. Instead, you started a fight. Most guys just grab whatever box of chocolate and flowers that the store has. His was way better. Instead of spending time together, you spent it fighting and are mad at each other because you wanted some high school performative gesture. And OP replies, I told him that I loved the gift. Both can be true. That he made a wonderful gift and that he also, which he admitted to, willfully ignored what my ask was because he didn't feel like it was important. Again, he never shared that with me. If I opened up the conversation, I totally expected him to be open about this and what he wants too. It just hurts to have your boyfriend say, I didn't feel that it was important to something so simple. So again, like, and that's kind of why I'm adding more onto what he did here. I feel like he did kind of disregard her and say that it wasn't important.
I mean, I guess it depends on whether it means the gesture itself or the timeline. Because like if you just meant like, oh, I didn't realize it was important to ask you before dinner and not over dinner, that would be different. Versus if he's just like, yeah, I thought your ask was not important. Like that's not nice.
And Crafty Cat 1135 says, he said that he was going to ask at dinner. Sometimes you need to let others have their own plan. And OP replies, since I asked him if he was going to ask, and did specify before the dinner, and he said yes, is it wrong that I expected that? He absolutely could have had his own plans, but he didn't communicate that. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, 5 years ago I did something bad and fell out with my friend, but now I'm wondering if I really deserve the treatment that I got, or if it was a bit harsh. So my friend, Anna, fake names, and I were hanging out and talking, and she told me some gossip about her friend Lucy. She said that Lucy and her husband Peter were breaking up because Peter had been unfaithful. My immediate reaction was, oh, what a jerk. But in my mind, I was thinking, wow, I wish she hadn't told me that because I worked with Peter and the person he cheated with, so it was awkward. Well, a few days go by, it's extremely stressful at work. I'm completely in a new role, juggling multiple things at once, and the phone is ringing off the hook. I'm getting interrupted constantly, like stress bonanza. Then Peter walks by and says, hey dude. Without thinking, I say, hey dude, what's up? I heard you really messed it up at home. The second that I left my mouth, I thought, what in the world did I just say? Peter just looked at me furiously and walked away. I wanted to follow him and apologize, but my work phone kept ringing, and I physically could not leave my desk. By the time that I could find him, he was nowhere to be found. A few hours later, Peter called me on my work phone and goes off on me. Understandably, he is mad. He's upset that I said that out loud at work in earshot of our colleagues. He tells me angrily never to discuss his private life at work ever again. And I'm just like, yeah, fair. You're absolutely right. That was a huge mistake on my part. At this point, I'm thinking, wow, I really need to tell Anna about this. But work is still ridiculous, and after my shift, I'm meeting my cousin who's having a mental health crisis. I figure that I'll call Anna later after I've dealt with that. Then Anna calls me while I'm with my cousin. I hesitate about picking it up, but I figure that I should answer. The second that I do, she growls at me and says, I want to know exactly what you've been saying to people and exactly who you've been saying it to. I try to explain what happened, but she is furious. And yes, she has the right to be angry. I did mess up. I definitely shouldn't have said that. But then she starts screaming at me, accusing me of sitting in the lunchroom at work, talking about her and her family, spilling all of her secrets just to score points and seem cool. And I'm like, what? No. Where is this even coming from? Nothing even remotely like this has ever happened in the 15 years of our friendship. Why does she think that? I try to explain again and ask her if I can call her back later because I'm with my cousin. And she says, fine, and hangs up. So I'm just dealing with my cousin, trying to support her, and then Anna emails me. It's basically just a rant where she assassinates my character and claims that I ruined her friendship with Lucy, which feels unfair. She's the one who told me Lucy's secret. I never asked for that information. Yes, I made a mistake. Yes, it was stupid, but it wasn't malicious. It was just a dumb, stress-fueled word vomit. A few days go by, and since I work with Peter, I figure that I have to talk to him at some point in time about this. We just can't avoid each other forever, so I text him, hey, would it be possible for us to talk about this sometime? He doesn't reply. Instead, he screenshots my text and sends it to Anna. For what reason? I genuinely don't know. Anna then calls me and goes off on me again, accusing me of taking his side, planning to throw her under the bus and choosing him over her. And I'm just like, what on earth makes you think that? Nothing like this has ever happened before in our 15 years of friendship, and suddenly she thinks that I'm a backstabbing villain? And that was the end of it. Neither Anna nor Peter have spoken to me since, and that was 5 years ago. Peter still works with me, but if he sees me, he just looks angry and then he looks away. He hasn't even said hi in 5 years, so was I the jerk? I know that I was the jerk, but was I that big of a jerk? Do I really deserve to be ignored for 5 years over this? All right, folks, what do you think of this?
I mean, I don't think I have enough information about Peter to say much. Like, I can understand why he wouldn't feel comfortable talking to OP from here on out.
Yeah.
And if he didn't spread any rumors, like just directly was like, hey, OP said this weird thing, why is she saying this? Then, like, you know, I can understand him wanting to keep his distance from OP. Now, I don't know what he told OP's friend, Anna, but, like, if he's been, like, spreading rumors and stuff, and that's why Anna believes what she did about the gossip thing, then that's not cool, and he's in the wrong for that. As for Anna, it seems like really strange for her to throw away a 15-year friendship over this one thing. It does seem a bit like an overreaction. And the whole thing about OP, like when he sent her the screenshots being like, you're taking his side, like his side on what?
Yeah. Because that's such an innocuous message that OP sent. It was just like, hey, can we sit and talk about this? So I'm wondering if Peter, really told Anna a lot of different things here, because it just doesn't add up about why she has the impression that she has, right? And I also want to point out, what OP said is, hey, you really messed things up at home. That could mean any number of things, right? It doesn't mean you're having an affair, and it could mean like, oh, you did something stupid at home, right?
It's still a really out-of-pocket thing to say, though, and it's going to lead to a lot of questions from coworkers that he doesn't want.
Well, sure, but he can also, with as vague as that is, he could also have conceivably deflected those questions and said, I just don't want to talk about it, right? Or even just said that, oh, he doesn't know what they're talking about. At a certain point, like, he really kind of overreacted in the respect that I feel like that was such a vague statement that it didn't really lend enough information to, actually have anyone draw any conclusions.
I mean, I think people could, like, if I were to hear the phrase, you really messed it up at home, that's usually used when someone's messed something up with their partner. Mm-hmm. So that would be my immediate assumption.
Well, but I mean, like, oh, you forgot her birthday. Right, or you forgot an anniversary, or any number of things. I'm not saying, like, I think that, like OP admits here, like they were wrong for saying that. I agree, they were wrong for saying that, right? But I also don't feel like it was so much information that it would, be concern for Peter, in the respect that he could have filled that in with any number of excuses or anything like that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that I agree with Peter, like, cheating is a bad thing, you shouldn't do it, but I can also understand why he's not going to want to deal with OP, and why he's going to want to shut this down as quickly as possible.
Oh, of course. And, I think it's just unfortunate, because it feels like Peter decided just to take OP down with him. And, again, because when we look at what OP said to Anna, it wasn't even, was said to Peter, and then Peter said to Anna, it wasn't enough for her to be like, oh, you're spreading all kinds of rumors and gossip and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Peter was like, oh, she's constantly running her mouth off and spreading gossip and rumors and stuff like that. So
yeah, which is why I can't judge without more information about what he actually said. So he is an open question in my mind.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, because, like, there are a lot of open questions there. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, I married a man, not a child, or so I thought. Hi Brian, I hope you're doing okay. I'm a 29-year-old stay-at-home mom, married to my husband, a 30-year-old male, for 4 years. We have 2 beautiful kids together, a 3-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. To get straight to the point, my husband is a complete slob. He leaves his dirty clothes on the floor, refuses to wash dishes, and gets upset if I ask him to help sweep or clean. His excuse is always, a clean house doesn't make for a happy marriage. The problem is that I'm a very neat person. I believe that everything has a place and it should be kept there. For the past 4 months, he hasn't been working and my home has been an absolute mess. He tracks muddy footprints inside, leaves dishes everywhere, and even leaves chicken bones sitting on the table. I finally hit my breaking point. I screamed at him, telling him that it's hard enough to take care of 2 kids without him adding to my burden. I told him that I married a man, not a child. He got upset and said that I was out of line, claiming that if I were a better wife, he would be more willing to help. That's when I snapped back and told him that I might be a better wife if he had actually been there for me through my first miscarriage, through a childbirth, or when I struggled with postpartum depression after our second baby. Now, I don't know if I'm the jerk for expecting a clean home and losing my temper. To add to this, even when he does help clean or look after the kids, he complains the entire time and makes sure to remind me later how much he had to do. If I ask him to lock the doors at night, close the windows, or draw the curtains, he has a complete meltdown and refuses. If I need to go somewhere, he immediately asks his mom or mine to watch the kids instead of taking responsibility himself. In the 4 months that he's been home, he's let me nap once when I was sick, and he has probably cleaned only once. He spends most of his time with his mom or brother, and when I tell him that I need help, he throws a tantrum, starts swearing, and gets defensive. I know this message is all over the place, but I'm exhausted. I love him, but this doesn't feel like love to me. I need advice, and I fully intend to show him any responses I get. Thank you. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I think that OP is very much right in her astute assessment that she is not looking to take care of another child. He
Yeah.
is acting like a petulant child here.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be asked to keep a home spotless. It's a totally different thing to be like, hey, can you just not leave your chicken bones on the counter? Like, he is actively creating unnecessary mess, tracking mud everywhere. Like, you can take your boots off at the door. It's not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, leaving food items out, garbage everywhere. It's not that much more effort to put it into the trash.
Well, that's just it. And, when you're in a partnership, when you become an adult, when you are a parent, you have to put aside some of your selfish ways and actually do and pull your weight and stuff like that, right? And I know that he thinks that OP is a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home parent, but he is as much a stay-at-home parent as she is right now,
Yeah, exactly.
which means he's responsible for 50% of the chores, 50% of the childcare, and he is slacking off on his duties. Whether he likes it or not, he is a stay-at-home parent right now. And he needs to actually just grow up because what he's doing here is completely just irresponsible. It's really just irresponsible. It feels more like a child than it does an adult human who should be cleaning up after themselves and taking responsibility for their own actions.
Right. And I mean, he's not behaving in the way a loving partner does. It seems like he has not been there for OP emotionally through some really traumatic things. And like, as a partner, it is your duty to be there, to be their support system. So negative points for him for that. But then on top of that, he is actively making OP's life harder because he can't even do the most minor of things. Everything becomes a big show, a big tantrum.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he does love OP. I think he sees her more as a convenience so that he doesn't have to take care of himself.
Well, and that might be the case, but I mean, I think like one question that, I would like to pose to OP's partner is, why do you not want to make your partner's life easier? What about, doing the simple chores are you so resistant to? Why is it that these are such a hard thing to do? I understand that the philosophy of like a clean house doesn't make a happy marriage, but clearly a messy house makes for an unhappy marriage, right?
Right.
If you didn't want to be in a relationship, or you didn't want to be in a relationship with somebody who had a different standard of cleaning, then, that should have been a discussion a long time ago type of thing, right?
Right. Well, it seems like his standard of cleaning is non-existent. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he would get upset if OP just let the house go to absolute garbage. Like, if she stopped picking up his chicken bones, if she stopped washing the dishes he leaves, he would get angry pretty quickly. And, you know, him complaining about OP not being a good enough wife when she's the only one who's pulling her weight in this relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and then also another question to pose to him is how much better would your life be if you went and lived single and had to clean up after yourself anyways, right? Like at a certain point, if you don't listen to your wife and if you don't pull your weight around the house, then that's going to head towards divorce and it's going to head towards you living on your own at some point in time. And maybe you'll find another partner who will, clean up after you and whatnot. But
or just move back in with mom, who he spends a lot of time with.
well, maybe your mom will clean up after you, but at a certain point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions and your own, chores and your own cleaning. And maybe one last kind of thing is, if he's willing, maybe there's a point of going to like marriage counseling, and maybe that's not something that he would be willing or even open for. But if you two could sit down with a third-party mediator, it might help open some of the doors of communication because it does feel like there's a lot of resentment around.
Yeah, although I honestly don't know if he's even at a stage for, like, he has to understand that people outside of himself have needs and it's his responsibility to help them before any of that could work. Because it seems like right now he's not viewing OP or the kids as his responsibility. He only is looking out for himself. And so he needs to open his eyes and realize, actually, your partner's happiness should matter to you. Your children's happiness should matter to you.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck, OP. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did one wave say to the other?
Well, the wave said bye.
See you later, SEA.
Oh.
And today is Annoy Squidward Day, so I went with an ocean joke.
So go find yourself a Squidward. Find that special Squidward in your life and annoy them. Do it for me and just tell them explicitly this is for Brian.
Brian may get some angry emails.
You can give them my phone number and email. I'll field it. I'll take full responsibility. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on Valentine's proposals.
Asking someone to be your Valentine should be voluntary and not forced.
Agreed. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!